Well, good day to you. It is November the 28th, 2022, and I hope wherever you are, you're doing well. There's joy in your life, and you're finding something to laugh about, as long as it's not me. I'm kidding. My name is Gary Willing, and as always, I want to welcome you if you're new to Search for Signs, and welcome you back if you have been here before. But whether you've heard this information before and you know all about it, or you're just hearing it for the first time and you're wondering, what the heck am I talking about? Look into this information for yourself. Educate yourself better about it. And you can do it however you want to do it, but I have included links in the description portion of these videos that take you to websites that talk about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom. Why are they coming back? Why is it important that they're coming back? Talk about the priorities of Maitreya, and even a little bit about the many miracle signs that have been going on for decades that I think are not only evidence of hope, evidence of oneness, but also evidence of the return of the awaited teacher for all the world's religions and people without any religion per se. Anyway. So all that information is there for you to look at whenever you want to look at it. Now, if you want to join the discussion and learn more about this information in that way, post your question in the comments section. Post your comment in the comments section. You can even email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. But I want to thank God Eyes 4, Chad D. Lanier, Zach Laney, Mark Hill, Thomas Lynch, and Achuak Radati. And there was one other person who posted a comment, and it went into my spam folder for whatever reason, and I went to go approve it, and I pressed the wrong button, and I reported that comment. I am so sorry. I don't know who it was. I can't remember their name because I was doing it in a hurry, and I am so sorry. So if you are the person who posted a comment in the last video and it's not there, it was probably you. So hopefully the YouTube police are not knocking on your door and accusing you of putting some kind of random comment. I'm just kidding. No, I really do apologize, and I didn't mean anything by it, and it's just because I made a stupid mistake. But anyway, you're welcome to comment again, too, if you want. But anyway, let's get on into it, because I do have some questions to cover and some comments. Now, I'm going to start with Chad D. Lanier's comment, and it's about politics. Now, I want to say this real quick. If you're hearing this information, you might wonder why I am talking about politics in reference to this information, okay? Now, you might also think, whether you know this information and all about it, or you're hearing it for the first time, because I'm talking about the return of the awaited teacher for religions, that he's coming back as a religious teacher. And that's not true. He's actually coming more as really an advisor, a political advisor and an economic advisor for countries and for humanity as a whole, really. Because we need to start to live life on this planet to the truth that we are one. And politically, economically, we are, of course, not doing that. And our very survival depends on whether we can accomplish this task of seeing ourselves as one family and not as divided as we're seeing each other today. So politically, we're very divided. Economically, we're very divided. And this is creating enough tension, enough stress, and jeopardizing the future of the human race. And that's why he really initially will be talking and speaking at and trying to solve the problems in the political arena and the economic arena, and not so much religious or spiritual mysticism in that way. He's definitely not a mystical leader or mystical spiritual guru that some people might be thinking about. So that might be one reason, just saying, why people haven't really recognized him, because he's not talking about things that people might think he might be talking about. He might be talking more about politics, or just about politics, or economics, or something like that. Something to think about. But it's not a stretch to combine the two, because it's important to look at life at what we need to solve. That's the most important thing. It's okay to talk about this in terms of religion. It's okay to talk about this in terms of spiritual mysticism, perhaps, and try to answer questions like that. I don't mind doing it. It's just, in terms of the actual priorities for humanity, those things do not matter. Really what matters is we need to see ourselves as one. We need to institute the principle of sharing. We need to bring about peace, and we need to solve the environmental problem. We need to end hunger on this planet. These are all economic and political problems, not spiritual, religious problems. You see what I'm saying? So that's why he's speaking to those things. Now, I am very critical of Trump. I'm also very critical of the DNC and some Democrats like Biden and Hillary Clinton and so forth. But I do talk about Trump from time to time. I do express my criticism from time to time, because I do think he's the poster child for fanning the flames of political divisions in this country, and he's very dangerous. Now, I know that turns people off. A lot of people have probably unsubscribed to my channel based on some of the things that I've said about Trump, but I feel the need to kind of shed some light on it in my own little way. And I did that And this person, Chad D. Lanier, asked me a question, and I tried to answer it in the last video. He asked me, list out specifically, or whatever it is, the exact laws that he broke, and I did. As many as I could think of off the top of my head. Now, he responded, and everybody has a right to respond, and everybody has a right to their opinion, but I'm going to respond myself, but I wanted to read what he had to say. I appreciate you being specific and not vague, but literally everything you mentioned, Clinton, Obama, and Biden have done times 10. I'm generally not a Trump supporter. I'm just a Libra. I always want to say liberal when I read your comment. He's a Libra, not a liberal. He's a Libra. And like fairness. Okay, so I will say this. I know enough Gen Zers out there, my teenager is one of them, my teenage daughter is one of them, that anytime they say the word literally, what's coming up right behind it is an exaggeration. And I have to say, you kind of fit that bill. See, it said literally everything you mentioned, Clinton and Obama and Biden have done times 10. So all the laws that I could think of that Trump has been accused of and maybe might even one day be indicted for, please give me the information about when these three did that times 10. Okay? And you don't have to list them all off, right? Even if it's just, I don't know, using campaign funds to pay off a porn star that you had an affair with. Did Hillary Clinton do that times 10? Did Obama do that times 10? Did Biden do it times 10, right? Or destruction, mishandling of classified materials. Hillary Clinton was accused of it, but eventually acquitted of it. Now, has Obama and Biden done that? Have they obstructed justice? Have they been, accused? Are they going to maybe be indicted of contempt of Congress and those kind of things? Let me know, and I'll eat my words, right? But I need evidence. I need you to literally be as specific as I was trying to be in answering your question the last time, because I feel like I at least did that for you. So I'm saying that back to you. List it out exactly what they did times 10. I guarantee you can't come up with anything. But anyway, you try. But anyway, I doubt it. Now, I'm not saying these people aren't corrupt. I'm not saying I am a supporter of them 100% and everything like that. But my main problem with the political divisions in this country is how tribal it's become. And the Democrats are guilty of it, but the Republicans have taken it times 10 and said that things like Jesus is a Republican, he supports the Republicans, he, is going to smite the Democrats in the future because they're their enemy and those kind of things. Just because I voted Democrat doesn't mean that I can't be a Christian. And there have been pastors that have told that to their congregation. You can't enter this church if you're a Democrat. You can't call yourself a Christian if you're a Democrat. I mean, you see what I'm saying? They've taken it to the nth degree. They've claimed patriotism as just a Republican thing. And Democrats can't be patriots for whatever reason because they speak out against what they see as injustice in the government for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But it's tribal. And so I would say the best way to be objective and center yourself is to insert the person that you can't stand into this situation. And if it was Hillary Clinton and she had been president for 4 years and now she was doing, accused of doing all the stuff that Donald Trump has been accused of doing, would you be making excuses for her in the same way that you're doing for Trump? You see what I'm saying? I live in Georgia and there's a runoff for the Senate, right? Would 48 or 49% of this state vote for Herschel Walker if he was a Democrat? No way. You know what I'm saying? They would be making fun of him because he has no business representing the state as a senator in Congress. None. And he might be a wonderful person. I don't know the guy, you know what I mean? And he has every right to live his life and do whatever he's got to do, but I don't want him representing this state. He can't even articulate anything that he's thinking about. You know what I'm saying? So at the very minimum, you should be able to at least articulate a policy or two. He can't even do that, right? So why is 48 or 49% of the people in this state even voting for him? It's because he's got an R next to his name. You see what I'm saying? The reason why people are making excuses for Trump is because he has an R next to his name, not because they actually even like Trump, really, to be honest with you. Most of them hated him before he became president. When he was running for, in the primaries, people like Ted Cruz, people like Jeb Bush could not stand him. Spoke out, called him all sorts of stuff. And same thing with Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. Couldn't stand him. Now they're the biggest, ass kissers. I mean, it's crazy. But that's the frustration thing for me. And in my own way, I'm trying to shed my own little light on it to see if maybe possibly I can help out. And I don't think I'm going to do any good, but I'm going to try. I got a voice. I should be able to say what I have to say. But that's what I would say in response to you. But also, too, Chad, if you're listening to this all the way through and you haven't turned off this video yet, I really do appreciate you asking the questions, and I really do appreciate your comments, and you have every right to think whatever you want to think and believe whatever you want to believe. And hopefully I haven't discouraged you from posting questions and posting comments in the future, because that's not my intention. But like I said, I love debating politics, but it's maddening to me when people make excuses for Donald Trump when you really should be looking at it objectively, seeing the dangers that he poses for not only the United States but the entire world if he gets back into power. It's scary, and the damage that he's done so far, and how he does believe he's above the law. They don't call him Teflon Don for nothing. You know what I mean? And he's broken the law or two. You know what I'm saying? And it always kind of reminds me, every time he tries to play the victim, it reminds me of this scene in the movie with Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar, where he was a lawyer and he couldn't tell a lie for 24 hours because his son made a birthday wish that he couldn't lie. And one of his clients, who I guess breaks the law a lot, asked him for his legal advice. And he gets on the phone, quit breaking the law, a-hole, right? And that's the only thing I could say to Trump. It's like he keeps playing the victim, but he keeps breaking the law. So, of course, he should be held accountable. But if Obama and Biden and Hillary Clinton didn't even do it times 10, even if they just did it one time, they should be held accountable too. I have no problem saying that. I mean, none. Nancy Pelosi, if she breaks laws, she should be held accountable too. I don't think that, they are above the law either. But I don't make excuses for them. You know what I'm saying? So why should people be making excuses for their guy just because he's their guy? I don't know. That's just my thing. Now, I'll swing back by to something more spiritual and mystical, I guess. Achuak Radati asked, can you tell us about the age of Kali Yuga? Not much, unfortunately. I'm not a Hindu. That's not my background. My background is more Christianity and the Ageless Wisdom Teachings. Now, I have heard a little bit about the Kali Yuga. And from what I understand of it, according to Hindu tradition, the Kali Yuga will end when the Kalki avatar returns. And Maitreya is the Kalki avatar for the Hindus, just as he is the Christ for the Christians and the Messiah for the Jews, the Imam Mahdi for the Muslims, the world teacher for people who are not religious, and the fifth Buddha for the Buddhists. So he's just the awaited teacher, but he is the Kalki avatar for them. So the other thing, too, that I could say, and this is maybe of some bit of information, maybe you already knew this, but Sai Baba, when he was alive, said that the Kali Yuga had ended, kind of intimating, I guess, to some degree, that the Kalki avatar maybe possibly could be back. Now, he didn't come out and say that Maitreya was the Kalki avatar, and the reason why he didn't is because he knew that he had millions of followers that would just go right and follow Maitreya just to follow him. You know what I mean? Because he said it. That's why he couldn't say it in that way. But was he hinting to the fact that the Kalki avatar returned? I think so, because he said that the Kali Yuga had ended. So, anyway, something to think about. But that's about as much as I can give you, unfortunately. I do apologize for not being able to answer it any further than that. But thank you for the question, and I really do appreciate you joining the discussion, Achuak Radati. And then lastly, I had an email. And, hold on, let me get to my email. This email came from God Eyes 4. All right, hello. What are your thoughts about the Great Reset that the World Economic Forum is declaring? Quote, you will own nothing and be happy, unquote, by 2030. Klaus Schwab, do the Masters of Wisdom have anything to do with this? So, thank you for the email, first of all. I really do appreciate it. And again, this has to do with economics, so I do think this pertains to what we talk about. I don't know much about the Great Economic Reset that they keep talking about, other than the fact that it's been resurfacing for decades, actually. I don't know how long you've been following it, but this has been talked about for a long time, that it would happen at this date, and then this date, and this date. I think it's just one of those things that people put out like the end of the world coming. So to be honest with you, I don't think the Masters have anything to do with this. Now, I will say this. I do get questions like this from time to time, not necessarily about the currency reset, or anything else, but they say, are the Masters behind this? And I guess what I would say to you, just so you can kind of maybe train yourself to possibly recognize if it's coming from one of these, these Masters are behind it, is does it have something to do with the truth, which the truth is that we are all one? So that is really what the masters are about, is about truth. The Buddha said there's no religion higher than truth. Well, it could also be said that there's no economic ideology higher than truth. There's no political ideology higher than truth, just as there's no religion higher than truth, to be honest, right? So does it have to do with truth? And then kind of reverse engineer it down to what they're talking about and see if it pertains to that, right? So it might not pertain to it directly. They might not be using those exact words, but does it have something to do with that, right? So for instance, if we were to look at the Marshall Plan, which the masters were behind, it did bring about unity to some degree, goodwill to some degree. It brought about peace to some degree. It actually was, it fulfilled two of the three requirements that Maitreya was even looking for humanity to start doing before he could come back. Create a measure of peace and have the principle of sharing at least start to govern the minds of the political leaders at that time. So it did enough of that to allow him to come back. Now, the third thing, I don't know how he could see it. I think he really was a stretch, but the political parties had to start cleaning up the corruption within their own institutions, and those kind of things. So that was the third thing. But 2 out of the 3, I think that the Marshall Plan fulfilled upon. So it could be said that they were behind something like that economically. But economically, really, if you look at what Maitreya says, this would be central to anything that they would be behind. Without sharing, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. And without peace, there will be no future. So does that pertain to that? Does that fulfill one of those, does that priorities of Maitreya in that way? Does that make sense? I don't think it does. I think it's more of the same, or maybe even rumor, conjecture, conspiracy theory, and fear. I don't know. I'm just saying, just from what I've heard from it and understood it, is it creates fear within the minds of the people who think about the great currency reset, because that means they would lose all their wealth, right? So, eventually, 100 years from now, so I'm just guessing, maybe there will be enough trust amongst nations, amongst people, amongst groups, that we don't have the personal property and wealth that we have today. Maybe we won't feel the need to accumulate wealth in that way. Maybe it will be more about service and leisure that the Maitreya, which are the priorities of Maitreya for humanity and those kind of things. But it will take time for that to happen. Right initially, Maitreya said that really it's not a question of capitalism or socialism, but both. But in what proportion? So right now in the United States, it's 95% capitalism, 5% socialism, I think, or something to that effect. But it should be more like 80% socialism, 20% capitalism. So where everybody's needs are being taken care of, but yet there's some kind of upstart for entrepreneurialness and that kind of thing. So he says it's like 2 wheels on the same cart. So the currency reset doesn't really seem like it applies in that way. So I would say no. Anyway, but I do thank you for the question, and I look forward to more questions in the future. I love everybody in there that gave me that posted questions, posted comments, and I love you for listening to this. Thank you so much, and as always, stay safe out there. I hope there's joy in your life, and I look forward to talking to you again in future videos. You guys have a great night. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.